Hey, infinite beings, we are back. We've had a few days off, a little rest and recuperation. Not really, we're actually doing tons of work. But we did have a little break from our lives because we needed to focus for a bit on some other things. So, but we were just chatting and it's like, oh, I missed you, Mandy. There's a whole day I didn't get to speak with you.
No. It is a bit strange. I said, I wish I could say the same. It does feel a bit strange, but not showing up and having the chat.
I know. I said that to Jodie. I said, oh, Miss Mandy, I got to talk to her today. We had a whole day of not speaking.
And even just having these conversations, it feels weird not showing up live here.
I know. I've had my head stuck in techno stuff, but it is all becoming very clear. But I guess that's what we're talking about today. So we're talking about the flow because the last few days actually has been quite crazy in the flow. And but before we go any further, but introduce ourselves. I'm Nat. Over there is Mandy. Fresh from a little break. And I don't know what we talked about last time because it was ages ago. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Go back and have a look.
It was for the love. It's really good. For the love or for the money.
Oh, that's right. The love or the money. Exactly. Right. So today starts with the story of these. It's all about shoes, Skechers shoes in particular. So I'm not actually an affiliate for Skechers. So I'm not earning any money from promoting Skechers right now. But I love Skechers. I am a big fan of Skechers. As I travel around the world with, I picked up Skechers all over the place and worn them out and got the next pair. But I've been wearing these pair of Skechers, these old black pair of Skechers forever. And they've done some miles, I can tell you. But sort of got to the stage where I was going to throw them out. But when we were in Asia, like a month or two back, I couldn't find the style that I really wanted. Like, so they're all the lace-up ones or the slip-on ones and stuff. And it's like, oh, they've got this brand new style out now, which has actually got the laces. They look as if they're laced-up ones, but they're not. So there's actually no. So you just still slip them on, but they look like they're laces. And I was like, oh, I really like those. So when we were in Singapore, the cleaner actually had a pair like that, and I was like, they're the ones I want to get. And they just couldn't find them anywhere. And then when I did find them, they were really, really expensive. They were like $90 a pair or something. And I was like, I'm not paying that. Like, I'll have to wait till I get to the US because they're super cheap there. And I was like, this is Asia. Like, should be a lot cheaper. But anyway, so I put off getting them. Then the other night, we're sitting here and Jodie and I started looking at the computer and stuff. She goes, there's a really funny smell in this corner. Like, it really stinks down here. Maybe it's the heater that's just heated up again. Like, 'cause it's just getting cold here now. So it hasn't probably been on for 6 months or more. Maybe it's that. And I was like, oh, yeah, I don't know. And I was like, it's my shoes. She goes, what? I was like, it's the black Skechers that I'm wearing. They got wet. So when they're old, Skechers, when they get older, and they get a little bit damp, they stink like no tomorrow. And I said, it's my shoes. And she went, oh my God, you have to get rid of those shoes. They absolutely, and I was like, they are my shoes. Oh my God, they absolutely reek. So it's like, right. So they're going out. So I put them out to throw them out, and I didn't actually even do it. So yesterday, we're walking through Carrefour. So Carrefour is it's pretty much a grocery store. It's a supermarket.
Yes.
And this one has a little bit more, like, it has computer section and all that sort of stuff. So there's a little bit more. It has some clothes and things like that. But yeah, so it's not huge by any means. So it's pretty much a grocery store though. We were out the back looking at the computer section for computer trays, and we just happened to choose an aisle to walk down to get back, to the front of the store to leave. That was it. I didn't buy the computer tray. We were just going to go. And so we just walked down this aisle, which was the shoe aisle. And Jodie just went, oh my God, Skechers. I was like, you're joking. I was like, would Skechers in Carrefour, surely. And sure enough, there was about 5 pairs of Skechers in the entire shoe section. And I was just like, serious? And they were right down the bottom, on the bottom shelf, like almost tucked at the back. I don't even know how she saw them. And I picked them up. I picked up this pair of shoes, and I just went, oh my God, that's the actual pair of shoe that I've been looking for. It's the style. I was like, holy crap. And then I look at it and I go, oh shit, it's my size. I'm 40. Well, I'm actually about 41, so it's slightly tighter. But and I was like, are you serious? Like, that's ridiculous. And then I looked at the price tag and they were €40, which is like $45. So it's like half the price of what we could have picked up in Asia. And I was just like, that is ridiculous. Like, knows that my size, the shoe color I probably wanted, I was going to get a grey pair, style, and it happens to be like half the price. It's like in this random store, and we happened to walk down that aisle at that time and just went, that is so bizarre. Like, to me, like, or to anyone, I guess, it's like, okay, that's just so meant to be at that moment. It's just like everything comes together, and it's like, okay, here you go. Like, here's your shoes that you've been wanting, and you're about to. I hadn't even got to the stage of throwing the other ones out. But that's always my thing. If I throw something out, like, then it creates that the law of the vacuum, so that you're creating that void, and it should be filled again. But I didn't even get to that stage of throwing it out. I had set the intention of throwing it out, and I just
I was going to say the intention.
Walk them to the bin, which they like. Actually, I don't know why I didn't just walk them immediately to the bin, but because I was stinking everything out. But it was so weird. I was like, right, so everything, like, it was just flowing. Yesterday was just total, utter flow. So I just wanted to talk about that. That's pretty much what we're talking about today, is just when everything just lines up, and it's almost a bit scary that it lines up that much. It's sort of like, is there a point where you start to pull back going, oh my God, it's moving a bit too fast now. It's a bit too flowing. Like, it'll get away from me. I haven't reached that point yet, but I have been quite mindful of it, though, of not stopping the flow, because it's been pretty amazing. So all of the tech stuff that's been going on for us behind the scenes, changing email autoresponders, and then their service is really new, so it doesn't hook up to a lot of the technical stuff that we've needed and the different tools that we're going to be using. And it's like, oh, serious. So I don't know, yesterday I did lots of research, and I just followed the flow of where it took me to, like doing some Google searches, and then I got in touch with on chats to different services, and all of a sudden, like, there was all sorts of things unfolding. And the guy, like, I think the craziest one was a guy that's actually going to do an integration, like actually go to his developer and
still there.
Talked to like at midnight last night. And he went, well, you're the only one that needs it, because you're the only one that's using this email service that I know of. But yeah, I'll do it. I was like, really? Okay, like, that's freaking amazing. So that's just saved us a whole bunch of money that was going to cost us to try and make those two services talk to each other through another service. And I was like, holy crap, like, it's just like one thing after another yesterday that just all lined up in the sort of the tech space, which doesn't happen very often in tech space. And I was just like, that's freaking awesome. Like, we're so 100% on track for what we're putting together now. Like, and to me, that's what it indicates, is like when you really hit on that thing that you really want to put out to the world, and you're sort of putting it all together, because there's obviously that physical component in the human world of having to build it. Build it will come. And yeah, it's all just sort of flowing and unfolding, and we just sort of found a whole bunch of hacks and workarounds and cheaper options than what was going to be available, and they're much better services. And it's like, oh wow. And the customer service in the last 2 days has just totally blown me away on some of the different platforms that I've been connecting with. And I was like, that's what customer service is meant to be about. Like, that's so cool. So it's just been a really all-round flowing, fantastic experience of putting some of our stuff together. But I think it did start with what you said, Mandy, in terms of wanting it to be easy. And I
was just thinking that, because leading up to the last 24 hours, it kind of felt like we were hitting a bit of a wall in some ways. Like, we were just kind of felt like everything was a bit difficult, like what Nat's saying with the tech stuff, like this thing wouldn't work with that thing, and this option is going to be way cheaper than this option, like this one's going to be like 4 times the price, but it does this little thing, this little tiny thing that we need that would be really helpful, but but it's a lot of money just to pay for that little thing. And so it just kind of felt like that there's all these different road bumps, if you like, along the way. And even just with some of the ideas that we've been talking about for the revolution that's coming up and how we're going to launch that and the offerings that we're going to have. And we just, something wasn't kind of sitting right with us when we've sort of checked in like a day or two later. It just felt like we were sort of pushing the energy a bit too much or something. And so when we chatted about it all, we just kind of felt like, you know what, the actual model doesn't actually work for us. That's why it's feeling so heavy. Like we kind of really got honest about the ramifications, if you like, of going down the line of offering a particular type of business model. And it just wasn't flowing for us. It really wasn't sitting with the area that we most love to do, like the thing that we're the best at, and how we really like to show up and play with people. And we just thought, no, this feels really heavy, and it feels really, it's taking a lot of time commitment, and which is fine. Like everything's going to take some time to put in it, but it didn't feel like the time commitment we wanted to be putting in the area that we wanted to be putting it into, if that makes sense. So, so I had to get really honest, kind of strip it all back again, and then, you know, your mind kind of wants to kick in and kind of go, oh, here we go, changing everything again. And you know, we're sort of redoing everything again now. So all the stuff Nat had been doing behind the scenes, we'll have to redo all that again and rewrite all this copy and rewrite all this stuff. And it was like, oh, okay. But it's just like, no, well, but it feels true. That's the thing. And we're getting some outside reflection, I guess, of that not landing as well. So it's like, okay, that's, you know, we have to kind of take note of that now before we get right into it, because it's better to be doing it. I was just saying that we're getting some outside reflection. Or can you hear me okay?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we missed that whole section because we both froze. So your voice is now catching up to your face. Okay, I think we're good again.
It didn't freeze on my end, so I'm not sure. Yeah, I was just saying we were getting some outside reflection, if you like, from that. What we were proposing wasn't kind of really landing, if you like not specific sort of feedback, but just like the energy around us. Like, okay, there's something here for us to kind of look at as well. And then even just, well, I guess more just signs of how the universe is lining things up for you. So we had this chat last night about, it was just feeling like it was really complicated. Nat was sort of telling me all the tech side of things and what was happening, what she was running into. And she was sort of saying, oh, what's your gut feel on it all? And it kind of felt like we were just trying to do things to keep it the cheapest way we could keep it, and which is fair enough. And, you know, you're trying to get a business off the ground, you do have to keep track of your costs and things. But it also felt like we're making it really hard. Like it just felt like it was really complicated what was, and I think it was just being reflected, you know, outside of us, that we're making it really complicated, and it's not complicated. Like, how can we make this more simple? What's the easiest path to take? And so I think we just needed to free up that energy around that, because then literally that within a few hours Nat started, all the things that had been sort of causing some issues now started to kind of unfold. So suddenly somebody's like, oh, I'll set that up for you, no problems. One of the a program that I've bought into, which we're going to be using for a particular part of our business, was due for renewal, and I got a notice from PayPal saying that my payment didn't go through. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm not quite sure why the payment didn't go through. That's a bit odd, sort of thing. And then I realized that I had a new credit card and I hadn't updated the credit card yet. So that's why it hadn't gone through. So I was like, okay, I'll have to log on and do that. But it kind of prompted me to go back and check their sales page, because I bought a pretty good deal at the beginning when I signed up for this particular thing. And I thought, oh, I wonder what they're offering now. Like, I was just out of curiosity, check their page, and then noticed that they were still offering quite a good special. And then sort of noticed like, oh, if I renew for a year versus 3 months, I'm going to be saving quite a lot of money in the long run, because they're still running a special. So I messaged Nat and I was like, oh, well, I could do this. Maybe it's, you know, why the credit card didn't go through. I can cancel now, sign up again. And then Nat's like, oh, we could be an affiliate, then we'll get more money back. So it's like, okay, like it was kind of like all these things started to flow. So like something like, you know, what would seem like an inconvenience, getting a notice kind of going, oh, my payment didn't go through, and turned into like an opportunity to, you know, something that then did start to flow. And so all the tech stuff has come together, and then, you know, sort of topping it off, Nat's found the shoes, you know, this at the end of the day.
That was just like the perfect bloody thing. I was like, oh my God, the shoes. My favorite
Yes.
thing ever. That's awesome.
But just that, I don't know, just that synchronicity, I guess, that, well, we call it synchronicity, I guess, but that's just what happens when we are in the flow. Like, things do just start to come together, and the universe is starting to conspire how to bring all those bits and pieces together so that it is starting to flow. As soon as we recommitted, if you like, to it being easy, and noticing where we're getting in our own way, then it's starting to morph outside of us pretty quickly, as soon as we're kind of bringing our attention back to that point as well.
I think there was a few points, actually, like turning points, those sliding door moments, if you've seen the movie Sliding Doors, where Gwyneth Paltrow sort of has two different storylines running because of literally, you know,
she misses a train or something, and then
a train or something. Yeah, that's right.
And so the other storyline, she makes the train, and it's like how it completely changes.
Such a good story,
trajectory of her life. Yeah,
it'll be worth watching again from this mindset of of the infinite and being guided at each moment. And like, missing a train could be like, oh, damn, like, you know, bloody hell.
Yes.
But yeah, you never know what's going to happen. Like, if you caught that train, you weren't meant to be on that train, whatever was going to happen to that train, or wherever that takes you, you know, hours from then type thing, because you did make that train, then were you meant to be in that place, or you're meant to be somewhere else? And it's that guidance system. You know, this is how the infinite is guiding us constantly by missing trains, or catching the train, or bumping into somebody, or like all these things that we sort of get a little aggro about at times, where we think it's an inconvenience. Actually, this is the guidance system. It's exactly trying to put you on the path of where you're meant to be. It's quite clever when you look at it. I saw I was watching a show the other night. I've been watching Lucifer. I'll come back to my points, but the Netflix series Lucifer, and it's really cool to watch it from the infinite side, because Lucifer obviously is the devil, and it's all about sort of having what you want. And he said, you know, I'm not evil. I punish people. Like, it's just a really different take on the whole punishment thing. And I'm just really enjoying the series. It's very cool. It's very, very witty. But there was one scene the other night, and all you see is a pair of hands bending down and actually moving a skateboard about 1 meter across on a lawn. And that's what you see. I was like, that's weird. I don't know who this person is. And then next thing, you see this lady pull up in a car out on the road outside the house. She gets out, she's got the groceries and stuff like that. She's walking across the lawn, and she trips over the skateboard, or half trips over it type thing. And then, you know, she sort of gets on, oh, bloody hell, she's like yelling, and sort of like, and she goes inside, and the son's there at the kitchen. You can sort of see the camera still outside, looking in the front window. And the front door's still open, because she's gone in with the groceries, and she's yelling at the kid, you know, like, let me leave a skateboard there. And he shouts back at her, and then she gets the shits, and then she goes, go to your room, like, you know, like, you're grounded, like, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, oh, fuck. And he goes off type thing. And then next thing, the dog runs out the door, and he's off across the lawn and runs across the down a couple of block, goes across the intersection, and a car swerves to miss the dog and runs straight into another car, T-bones the car. So the car that got T-boned was actually the character storyline type thing. It was one of the main characters. And so that was sort of, it was all set up. Like, so the character that actually moved the skateboard was Lucifer's brother, and he was trying to actually cause an accident for the lady, the main character. And I was like, oh, that's really funny. So this whole sequence of events, and it was just like really hit me. And I went, that's how it happens. This whole sequence of events that go on, like, this leads to this, to some other person, like, and everybody, it's all being coordinated all around the world, exactly like that. And I was just like, that was such a cool scene to sort of illustrate that very point of how we all come to be where we are in every moment. And it's
exactly
all like being coordinated.
It is exactly like a movie script in that way, isn't it? Is that the moving parts all have to be kind of, the stories have to be written and interacted, and you know, and then you're not quite sure how this thing interacts with that thing, and why that thing's happening, or why that character does this, but then it all sort of starts to come together in the form of a movie script, and you start to see, you know, sort of maybe 2/3 of the way through what's actually happening.
Playing out.
So it's exactly the same thing. That it's all being orchestrated behind the scenes. Yep.
I was just saying, Lucifer's hilarious. It's a really funny series. If
I'll
you
have to check it out. I haven't heard of that one.
yeah, it's as soon as I saw the trailer for it, I was like, I could really put that infinite hat on and watch it from that space, and it's been an awesome series from that space.
Yeah.
Very cool. But yeah, I guess coming back to the points, like some of the key things that have happened over the last few days to really get that flow moving type thing. Yesterday, when the tech stuff really was like, I had spoken to you before we went out, we were due to go out anyway.
Yes.
And yeah, it was feeling really heavy, and I was like, oh God. And I was just like at a point, and I was just like, I need to walk away right now and just clear my mind and do something different and just let it be for a bit. And so that's what had happened really yesterday, was that we were out for quite a few hours, and the time I came back, I was quite willing to sort of look at it again. There was a few things that I'd said to you that I would check out. And so I just started going through that list of things that, you know, I really had to do the research about to just get more details on whether we could stay with this new autoresponder or we had to go back to our older one, because it just, we couldn't get this to integrate with, you know, the tech stuff that we needed.
Yeah.
And yeah, so just coming back and just starting that very natural flow of research and just following your nose where it goes to, and like everybody experiences that sort of surfing. Then they call it surfing the net, but I guess it's just that intuitive flow. Like that's what you're finding is the flow of where that research takes you, and you never know where that takes you. And that's how it came to be. I was really tired. I'd been up super early, like 5:30 in the morning type thing. So I was going to go to bed early, and sort of 11 o'clock, I suddenly stumbled upon this site. I thought, I just want to check what that site is, like that I saw the other day. Like it's the one that I really want to, this service I think we need to check out. And I just happened to write to the guy in the chat, because I was like, oh, that way he'll get back to me overnight and I should have an answer by tomorrow morning. But he answered straight back. And then this dialogue was going backwards and forwards. And then that's when he sort of said, oh, I can do the integration for you. Like I'll be able to get that. If you sign up, I'll get it sorted out for you. And I was like, oh shit. I was like, really? So if you can get it sorted out, I'll sign up. Yeah. And yeah, he goes, oh, cool. Like, and that's fine. And I was like, holy crap. Like, that's so ridiculous. But so there's sort of that aspect of that walking away when it's not working, and you're not finding the flow, and be quite willing to give it some space. And that's all you're doing really, is at the end of the day is allowing it to have some infinite space to, and maybe the timing's not right. You just don't know like what's going on behind the scenes in the movie.
Yes.
You know, that's the part we're not aware of. And it's so easy to judge that part rather than just allowing. But I guess the other part was,
force it, don't we? We start to force it to happen, which then becomes about getting an outcome, because it's not going the way we think it should be going. So therefore we do have a projected outcome that we think we're trying to get to, which is only coming from that ego part of ourselves. Like at the end of the day, the infinite doesn't care. There's no outcome to get to. So it's just,
Yeah. And I guess that flows to the next point, which it just made me think of, is having options sort of thing. Like there's always other options. Like if we sort of just really wanted to stick to this one email autoresponder, then I had to make that work. There had to be, you know, almost forcing it sort of thing to get it to work. But because then we sort of drifted back and went, well, we could just stay with the autoresponder we've got already. Like that might even be easier, because I don't have to do anything. I don't have to move that stuff across to the new one. So then suddenly there was two options available, and then there's like, well, there's plenty of options available really for email autoresponders. So it's sort of, and this is just an example, but it's that sort of expansion thing of like, it doesn't have to be a certain way. Like it can be whatever. And that really helps that process of freeing that up as well. So yeah, I wasn't attached to which one it was in the end. Bird's End, I was getting really great customer service from, and I was like, I'd really like to stay with them, because they're actually just launching and getting off the ground, and it would be really good to support them. But if it's not going to work, and it's going to cost us a bucket load more money, then I'm quite willing to go back to our old, more established service. So yeah, so there was that element of it. I think the thing that always surprises me, and this has been part of the process too, is how honest you actually have to be with yourself. Like even the slightest deviation from what actually is true for you is going to cause those difficulties, those roadblocks, those things to come up until you finally get to see what is true for you. So it's sort of like, and we've really had to sit with, you know, what has been true for us in this particular project. Like, we're showing up live every day, but this is not all we're going to put out. Like, it does feel true for us to put other stuff out. So then
Yes.
you start down a particular line, and before too long, I guess you put in agendas of different things, and it may not just be money. There might be, there might even be tech stuff involved in it, or the amount of time you're going to have to put into it, or you could automate it, and therefore you could have more of a leveraged passive income rather than being active all the time. Like, all these little trip ups type thing. It would be easier to market that than it would be this. Like, all these things that sort of pull you away from what might be true for you, because you start creating the storyline around the alternative, and it's so convincing, and it's so hard not to buy into this other alternative, because it would be easier, so you've convinced yourself, but then sort of having to recalibrate. And that's really what we had to look at, is like, we had a few indicators in the outside world from other people that what we were offering was not right. Just that initial sounding out people type thing. We didn't get any bites as such, and it's like, okay, there's something up with this. Like, one or two people, okay, but when you've got like four or five people, that's what had happened. It was like, okay, this is not right. So,
and it wasn't that people didn't like what we were offering. It was more like, oh, not right now. So it's like, okay, that's fine too, because people are at where they're at. But it was also, for us, we're kind of going, that's really interesting, because like, that's we thought what we put together was actually a really attractive thing. So we're kind of like, all right, where were we trying to make something happen with this? Like, this is kind of getting us to relook now in our mind of what we're actually putting together. Like, is it actually true for us? Like, or was there some agenda behind in some way? Not the whole thing, but like, definitely part of it was true. But there was like this little part of it going, oh, this would be a really good business model to do it this way, and this could work like this. I've seen this work out there. So it's based on what you've seen happening all the time in strategy, like the mind going to the strategy again. So when we've stripped it right back to what it is we actually really want to be doing the most, like what fires us up the most. And it's like, well, we want to be doing things with people that are really committed to being on this path, like that want to do the work to fully live being infinite. What does that look like in this lifetime? You know, as we've talked about many of our videos, it's like not the 2 feet in each world. It's like 2 feet in, living infinitely. What does that look like? And being held to the fire a bit. And so what can we create around that? Like, how does that work for us? What's the thing that is the most juiciest for us to do and offer around that too? So it got us to rethink about what that. So it's like everything's perfect at the end of the day, of course. Like, it's all showing you that when you really tune in, like you said, you've got to be really honest with where you're feeling with something. And sometimes you don't have words for it. I just noticed that as soon as we dropped the idea around the model that we were going with, I suddenly just felt relaxed. It was almost like, a sense of relief. But I wasn't aware of that so much in a thought sense, if you like. In my mind, it was my body was feeling heavy, and it wasn't till we dropped it and we got honest with ourselves. It was like, I feel like I can breathe again or something. It's like, all right, that's obviously the right way to go then, because we hadn't consciously brought ourselves to that point yet of acknowledging, if you like, that it wasn't really true, sort of thing for us on some level. Not 100% true anyway. Like, it was element of it, but
it just needed some adjustment.
Yeah.
But that's always it's something I've been using for quite a while, and it works really well. Is I ask myself the question: if I let this go, and it doesn't matter if it's a project, it doesn't matter what it is. If I was to let this go, this idea, this plan to go out with this person, to go and do that house sit, to travel to there, to buy that pair of shoes, like whatever it is, it doesn't matter. If I let that go, would I feel a sense of relief? And if the answer is yes, then it's like, okay, that wasn't true for me then. But if there's a part of me that says, oh no, I'd actually feel like I was missing out, like not missing out as in FOMO, as like, no, I would regret not doing that, then it's true for me. So it's really interesting to use that test. And it does work really well. And so I felt the exact same thing when we let that idea go of what we were going to do. I felt a sense of relief, and it's like, okay, it wasn't meant to be then. But then when I felt
it feels logically that it would have been an easier thing to offer to people too. Like, it was kind of like, oh, well, it's not that expensive, and like, it will you know, like it just, yeah, it's kind of pushing that boundary now of kind of going what we think is possible to around even just a money story and what would be easier to market because we've done this part before, or like it's all based on past kind of, you know, judgments and perceptions, and
but also what you've done before and what you're comfortable with, which is really interesting.
Exactly,
like it's so easy to fall back into that comfort level, like to put that level of program together that we were talking about. It was comfortable.
It'll be easy.
You can easily do that. It's a price point we're comfortable with. We could work with a number of people. We could get automated. Yeah, it would be quite easy in that way.
It'd be easy for us in terms of the type of content we were thinking to produce, but it's not really what's coming through us. Like
that's right. Now. But I don't think being true for you is actually meant to necessarily be easy. It's meant to perhaps come to you easy, but that's different to being easy and actually doing it. So it is about stretching yourself out of your comfort zone to put something on. So now we're talking about a high-level coaching program. Is that going to be harder to sell? Yeah, it is, because, well, technically in the storyline, yes, it's going to be.
Maybe not.
That's the thing. So the mind kicks in and goes, oh, well, it's going to be harder to sell a $10,000 program than it is $29 a month, because that's what we're looking at.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, shit, okay. But does it feel expansive? Does this feel expansive, the $29 a month? No. It felt easy.
Yeah.
But does the 10,000 plus coaching program a year type thing feel expansive? Bloody oath it does. Like that feels like if you could get a group of people of, say, I don't know, however many, 50 people together that all work together for a year of doing their own projects and creating an income, but then stayed together to build bigger and bigger collaborative things that really impacted the world. That feels exciting. To me, that's sort of the where it's headed to. And it's like, that is awesome. That is really expansive. And that lights me up. And I know it lights you up too. So it's sort of like, that's what it's meant to be. On the surface level, it looks like it'd be more difficult to promote and get people into it. But there's so much more energy behind that. And I guess that's the thing, is like this project feels like it's got so much more energy and excitement behind it that it probably will be easier to sell into than like, $29 a month. Like, yeah, we're going to put some stuff together each month and it'll be pretty cool and stuff like that. Like, it's just like this neutral sort of feeling about it. It's like, yeah, we could do it. And I guess this is the thing with projects, like you really like what really lights you up, and it's not necessarily something that's going to be on the surface level look easy in the storyline.
Yes.
But you just can't deny that that's what feels really good.
Yes. And even just shifting from creating regular content, you know, into a membership style program versus just creating one-off products or little mini courses as the inspiration sort of hits, that feels so much more true to do, because that's pretty much how we do everything, is in the flow. So things is like, oh, if we feel like doing that, then we'll just create that and put that out there too. So that feels really creative too, to be doing it that way versus having to be, almost feels like you were tied into having to create a certain amount of content, which would be fine if that felt true for us, but it didn't feel true. So that was
quite heavy. Like we're writing down all the topics, and it's like, oh, I could talk about that one. Yeah, I could talk about that one. Like, it's not that you couldn't do it.
No, it could definitely do it. So
do it. And I think that's the trip up, is like, oh, well, I can do it. I've got the talent for that. And I think a lot of perhaps personal development and even consciousness stuff has gone down that line. It's like, you know, where's your, you often see this, you know, sometimes in the marketing world, I guess, where I've been playing, but it's like, you know, where's the intersection between your time, your talents and your skills and your passion and stuff like that, and that's what you should be putting out. And it's like,
what's the market asking for?
I've got what's the market asking for, which is really interesting. It's like, who cares what the market is asking for? Like, it may not be true for you to put that stuff out. It's like, create something that's not been created before. Then the market can ask for that. They can't ask for something that hasn't been created before because they don't know about it. So it's sort of like sticking to what's true for you. It's like such a trip up, but that's where you've got to, and that's what I mean. Like, I get so surprised at how truthful you have to be in this process. Like, you have to keep coming back to, does this feel true for me? Ask the question, would I feel relieved if I let this go, or would I feel like regretting? And it's like, if I didn't put that coaching program together, I'd feel like I really regretted it.
It feels like an opportunity that's being called for. Like, we sort of pose that question to ourselves, saying if we were to create something that we would really love to, well, offer, but also if we were on the receiving end of this, like what's something that we would have been looking for, like that wasn't available when we were kind of looking ourselves, on our journeys. It's just like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is the thing that brings all these bits and pieces together. And so that feels really fun to create that thing now. Like, we've got all the different areas of expertise. We can pull this together and we could offer that part, and like, let's make it really fun, because it's got to be fun as well. Like, it's, it's the whole point of living infinitely is to make it fun and be in the flow. So it's like, okay, how can we bring all of that into it as well? And so it just starts to feel like it feels easy again. So it's like you said,
all that creativity starts coming in.
The creativity,
this felt heavy, but there wasn't a lot of creativity going on as well. I think that's a really big indicator.
Yeah, that's true.
If you've got tons of creative ideas going on, then it's a pretty sure indicator that it's flowing. And that's what you should be playing, because that's the natural state. Our natural state is playing and creativity, and it feels like fun. It feels light. It feels like you've got tons of ideas, not overwhelming ideas, but ideas that actually could be employed. Like sometimes you get into a project and you've got tons of ideas, but then they feel heavier and heavier and heavier because you've got so many ideas. But there is a real difference in playing in a space that feels true for you, where you're getting lots of ideas because they feel like they can be employed.
Yes. And there's a difference between creativity and strategy. When you feel you're going into strategy, then you're, that you're kind of not usually in the flow. I mean, it doesn't mean you don't employ some kind of strategy behind how you roll something out, but when you're trying to be really strategic with your choices and you're doing it for an outcome all the time, then you kind of know that you've got out of the flow, because it doesn't feel creative anymore. It suddenly feels very heady, very mind-based, very sludgy kind of thing. Yeah, so it's always a good sign to pull yourself up on that one.
You've just hit on it. I think you've just hit on the difference. Strategy is fine. Like, I'm employing lots of strategy, marketing strategies.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, strategy.
Stuff. But it's not strategic. And I think that's where the trip up is. You start to get clever. The ego starts to get clever.
Yeah, it's true.
I can save a bit of money here, or I could do this. And it might start off like that, like certainly ours did. Like, we moved across to bird send autoresponder because it was going to be cheaper. We did that. And we looked at the service and went, yeah, it looks pretty good. It'd been recommended by a few people that we knew. I was like, all right, let's give them a try. So it did actually have an agenda of trying to save money at the time. To move across.
And you're having some issues with the other providers. So there was kind of an impetus to look for a different solution.
To find something else and go searching for something else. So then, you get in there and the customer service has been awesome. And then we ran into the glitches of the technical stuff, and it's like, oh, maybe it's not going to work. And so there's this, I'm not sure. So there's sort of still this strategy going on behind the scenes type thing. But it was still being open enough to, it doesn't have to be this, like I was saying, like, you're not so definite about, I have to make this work because it's saving me money. That's where, to me, where the it becomes strategic.
Yeah.
So there's a difference between strategy and being clever and strategic in trying to jack the system type thing, like to hijack the system in terms of, oh, well, I know better. And I'm going to try and save a penny type thing. Like, how many times we've tried to save money, and every single time I can guarantee it ends up costing the exact same amount of money somewhere else. There's something else.
Or it costs you time and energy. Like,
or
if it
the time and
doesn't cost you
energy.
money, it costs you time and energy. Yeah,
it's ridiculous. Like, I've seen it so many times now. I was like, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, it's just such a stupid strategy.
Yeah. Well, it's almost saying you're not. Well, it is saying you're not worth.
You're not infinite.
Spending that money. Basically, that you don't have access to infinite amount of money, but also you're not worth spending that money on yourself, because you're not seeing it as an investment. You're seeing it as a cost all the time. Like, we're looking at everything about, oh, if I spend out that money, that means I have less money now in my wallet. And it's like, well, not really. Like, it's kind of this idea of, like, what's the money being used for? Like, Carl Cease was, I've heard him talk about this too. I always use him as a bit of an example, but here's this concept around, he calls A, B, and C money. And A money is money that you spend on things for sort of instant gratification, like something that kind of keeps you in that state of, like, suppressing your emotions a lot of the time. So, like, you use it to gratify, like, a feeling that you've got.
Or something.
Yeah, so definitely food or drinking. Yeah, drinking alcohol, or just spending money frivolously because it feels good in the moment, like a really quick fix, but like it doesn't really improve you, if you like it.
Yeah.
And if anything, it probably costs you, because like it could be costing you health wise, or it could be that type of thing. And then B money is like investing in real estate or in stocks. So it's kind of like, earning some compound kind of interest on something. Because you make some money, you're being a bit smarter with your money and you're getting some money back, but it still doesn't actually change you, like who you actually are. So whereas C money, he talks about this idea of investing in yourself. So it's what actually changes you. So that could be hiring a personal trainer. It could be learning piano lessons because you've always really wanted to learn piano. It could be buying that business program because it's going to take you to that next level. So rather than kind of going, oh, I don't have that money, it's like, no, this is actually going to grow me. I'm going to be able to 10 times my income now if I do this and I actually find out what's possible that I can actually do. And so it's all those type of things. He's saying that's where we should be putting like 99% of our money should be going into that stuff, because then we're basically saying that I'm, well, worth it from that perspective, but also like we're saying that our creativity is what's actually pays us, like at the end of the day, in the form of money. From an infinite perspective, it's investing in our creativity and our own resources. That's what actually brings the abundance to us. It's not like, it looks like in the scheme of things, oh, I put money into a real estate, into a property, and I earn some money back. Yeah, okay, you sort of do in the game of money, but it doesn't actually change who you are as a person. It's not expanding your own resources. Like it's still outside of you. It's still a system that you're buying into, the monetary system or the government system, or you're still kind of putting something into outside of you. Whereas we're investing in our creativity. That's where the flow comes from. That's where we really get to see what's possible with ourselves. Like when we sort of say, you know what, I'm worth this. I've got this to bring to the table. I just need to kind of, it's not even about needing to do it. It's like giving yourself permission to kind of be the full potential that you are, and actually going, you know what, I'm doing this, like declaring it to the universe that this is what the line I'm going down, and I don't feel lack or scarcity by spending this money. I know it's going to come back to me tenfold. Like it's there is no lack or scarcity outside of me. It is me. Like, so invest in yourself, because there is only you at the end of the day. Like it's the only person to invest in. So I like to
I guess other examples of C money then would be like going to a spa to have a massage, like feeling really good about yourself. Buying, something at the shop that buying a pair of shoes, Skechers that you've always wanted. And
definitely those things that feel like
things like travel. Travel if travel's true for you type thing, or getting a VA in your business so that you can actually free your time up to have more lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely.
Just those sorts of things, like where you're really actually improving your lifestyle as well as you and your life.
If you spent money out, like delegating out all the things that you just really hate doing, that take up your energy and your time, and you can come at the other side and kind of go, oh, but I don't have the money to do that. And it's kind of like that balance between like, well, what are you actually saying is more worth it, that you can't create more money, like, or that you don't want to spend that money on you because you don't think it's worth it. Like what's a statement you're making at the end of the day? Holding on to those things, like we're not freeing up our energy to put it to put it to best use in terms of like living our potential and the creativity that wants to flow through us. We're kind of constricting all the time when we think, oh, I'll save some money here, I'll save a bit of time here, it's just basically saying that everything is outside of us and that we don't believe at the end of the day that we're infinite. Like that's that whole definition, that separation aspect that we've spoken about before, how sneaky it gets. It's like you have to be really careful with how you're talking to yourself at the end of the day, and noticing, when your mind does start to bring in these strategies of, but basically you're saying every single time you do those things, I'm not infinite, I'm not infinite, I'm not infinite. Like, so it's that kind of being really pulling yourself up on it and kind of going, you know what, I'm just going to jump all in on this and see how it goes, like, because I've never done it before. So how do I know that it's not going to work? Like, it's kind of, story will start to morph around us when we start to do that. So
I'm looking very infinite right now.
Just looking at rainbow colours.
I'm not even here.
It's like you're behind a glass panel or something.
The sun's like glaring through it. It's so beautiful, but it's sun's blowing through this window here. Look, it's really lovely out there.
Yes,
It's
that's
bright.
green.
You can't see it, but it's all green up there. It's very lovely. But yes, it is definitely interesting what you silently declare to the infinite, to yourself, by your actions or inactions. And you do have to be really careful. Like the whole concept of saving is such a ridiculous one at the end of the day. It's like it's, you know, saving for the future because people feel like it's security.
Yeah.
And this is something Jody wanted me to talk about on these sessions and stuff too, because this whole concept of saving, like, and whether it be your 401k or your superannuation or, you know,
retirement
bank accounts
funds
and having assets and stocks and all these different things, like it really does have a different take on it when you come from the infinite space. And it's not to say don't have those things. It's just to say, just be careful you're not putting your energy into those things like you're thinking that they're security, because any of those things can be ripped away in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's still outside of you at the end of the day.
Still outside of you, those things. So it doesn't provide security, it provides fun. Definitely. We have cryptos and we love buying crypto. Like it's just fun. Like we just look at it. The other day, one of mine went up 480%. I was so excited. We have $25 worth of that. So it's sort of quite fun to be able to play the market. Like, and I think that's why crypto is actually so fun, because it moves so fast and it's just so crazy. Like it's just so non-real.
Yeah.
You know, like it's so non-attached to anything that, you know, traditionally we have in the money game.
Yes.
It's an exciting space to play in. And yeah, so it's sort of like that. It's like investing really should be a game. Like it's, you know, if you want to put money into a savings account, because it's fun to do that. Like to go to your bank account and see figures in your bank account. Like it's not because, oh my God, I have $5,000 in here. Thank God, you know, if something goes wrong, I can fall back on that. I was like, the only thing you fall back on is yourself.
Yeah. Because what if the government suddenly changes its policy or shuts down the banks, or
the bank shuts down?
That happens all the time. I've had that happen here in Australia, where superannuation funds, which is like the 401ks in the States, they kind of change all the rules around that. And I had one of my my Andrew's uncles lost like substantial amount of money. He was like in his late 60s, about to retire, and lost like hundreds of thousands of dollars overnight, and literally had to go back to work because he didn't have any money again. It's just like, that's how quick it can change. And we think it's security, been putting money away for like 40 years and it can be ripped away overnight. And it just sort of shows that the more we put that idea of security or freedom, that money equals those things outside of us, and we don't cultivate that knowing within us that that's actually who we are, that's what can happen on the outside to kind of wake that part up to you, to kind of go, wow, like I'd completely put my power into something outside of me. And if it feels true to save some money, then you do that. But this idea of that seed money, it's like, how much are you investing in you? But like, you can't take that money with you. So it's like invested in you, and then you'll keep getting more and more money back. Like that's the whole thing, is that it will be returned. Like when you need it, it will be there. Like it shows up, like that, you know, the story starts to morph around you. And we're going to do a whole little mini course, we're thinking, around the whole money aspect, because it's such a big thing for everybody. Such a big paradigm that we all buy into, because it affects all different parts of our lives, of course. So
the money's not right, then it affects everything else, because it's so vital to our survival. Well, so we feel. So and there's so many little hooks in the money stuff. Like there's just tiny things like that. Savings. Definitely. What do you think about your savings? Oh my God, it's my security. It's like, no, it's not. So it's just those little things that we trip ourselves up with, not living infinitely with money. As much as we could be. So, and our relationship to it. So that will be one of our first little products that we put out. There you go. So that's us. That's what's been happening over the last few days. But yeah, tons of insights. It's been such an interesting couple of days. I'm really grateful that we've had the break, and we've had more mind space to actually get into this stuff in the first place, to then get the insights to be able to share it. But we'll be back a bit more. We've decided we're missing these, and we're gonna be live a lot more often. I'd say 7 days a week, but certainly probably around, I don't know, what do you reckon, Mandy? 5 days a week, something like that.
Yeah, maybe 5 days a week. We're feeling at the moment is probably a good balance.
couple of days to get stuff done behind the scenes without interruption. But
Yes.
yeah, it's cool.
Yep. So I don't think we probably won't be live tomorrow, but probably on the weekend. We're definitely planning on showing up a couple of times over the weekend. So we'll definitely make announcements and let you know when we're going to be around. So
Yes, that's
yes.
something cool. My daughter, who lives in Australia, is actually passing through Belgium today. We don't get to see each other very often because I'm always traveling. So that's pretty exciting. Her and her boyfriend are showing up in Brussels. We're going to go and pick them up, and coming back here tonight to stay, and we're going to have lots of fun. So yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, we could.
Yeah,
a live chat for. Yep.
Very cool. All right. Well, we'll see you on Saturday.
Yes.
What time that is for you?
We're
But
around the world.
about the same time Saturday, and we'll be back into it.
Then. Okay. Thanks for joining us.
All righty.
Bye.
Bye. Stay in the flow, infinite beings.